Hello everyone, in this video I'll be solving Cambridge AS Level Information Technology Paper 2 Practical for the year May-June 2022. You have been supplied with the following source files. So I have the source files here. Tavara Shipping operates several small container ships which travel between 10 different ports. The ship operates 7 days a week, but some ports will not allow ships to leave on a Saturday or Sunday if their custom officers do not work on these days. You have to develop a spreadsheet to plan the ship's route. Open and carefully examine the files J22 port.csv and ship.csv. We are not supposed to edit any of these files. Create a new spreadsheet that looks like this. So in a ship file you can see these are the details about the ship code, ship name, and all the other details are given here, and these are the details about the ports. The port code is given here, the port name, and the days on which customs is closed in each port is given in this column, and these are the distance from each port to another one. For example, from this port from port A to port C, the distance is 1600 nautical miles. And here the data is representing the days numbers. For Sunday it is 1, and for Monday 2, and so on. So first we need to create a new spreadsheet which looks like this. So open a new spreadsheet. And you can see the columns A to G are merged. All the text, we have to do the following formatting. A7 to G7 also should be merged. Display the merged cells A1 to G1 and A3 to G3 with a dark blue background and yellow text. Row 1 should be 36 points high and the text in row 3 should be 22. So the background should be dark blue and the text should be yellow color, and the size is 36. For this one the size is 22. Right align cells A5 and C5. A7 to G7 should be left aligned, and center align all other cells. This is left aligned. All other cells must be center aligned. And you can see these are bold and there is text wrap applied here. Wrap text, apply bold. All are vertically aligned in the middle. Till row 24 we can give the borders. Insert on the left in the header the text created on followed by a space, then the automated date and a space, then followed by time. So go to insert header on the left side. Created on the current date, space at current time. The date must be displayed in DD, MM, YYY format. Insert on the right automated file name with no file path. So click on file name. And in the footer on the left we have to write created by and your candidate details. Save your spreadsheet as TS1 followed by your details. The code for a ship and the start date of the ship's journey will be entered by the user into cells B5 and D5 respectively. The user will enter the start date of the ship's journey in cell D5. Enter a formula in cell A9 to display the start date. So the date will be entered in D5. We have to enter a formula to show this date in cell A9. So for that we have to just give the formula equals D5, so that whatever date we enter here will be shown. Next, the user will enter a port code for the departure port in cell C9. Enter a function in cell D9 to display the name of the port using the code entered by the user in cell C9. So the user will be entering a port code in cell C9. We have to enter a formula to display the port name in D9. So C9 will be used as the lookup value, and the port names are shown in the port file in this table. So let's use a VLOOKUP function. The lookup value is the port code. Table array is this table, and the column index is 2 as the port name is in column 2, and the range lookup is 0 to get the exact value. Give OK. Here the formula is showing NA not available because the port code is not specified. Let's enter a port code and see whether the formula is working. So the port name is shown here. Next, enter functions in cell B9 to display the date of departure. Your solution must check if the port the ship is departing from allows ships to leave on the planned depart date. If it does, the depart date will be the same as the planned depart date. If not, the depart date will be 1 day later than the planned depart date. So here we have planned depart date. This is the planned depart date. So we have to enter a formula in depart date after checking whether this port allows the ship to leave on that particular day. So whatever day we are entering here, whatever date we are entering here, that day should be checked, which day of the week it is, and then we have to check from this file whether the customs is open on that day. So for some ports you can see that the customs details are blank. That means the customs will be open every day. So if it's a blank, means we don't have to do any checking. The depart date is the same as the planned depart date. Otherwise we have to check whether this day, this weekday is the same as the weekday of this date. If it is equal, we have to add one more day for the depart date. Otherwise it is same. That means, for example, if you enter any port code D, suppose I have entered port code D here, then if you check this file, you can see that for port code D, the customs is closed on Saturday. So we have to check whether the date which we will be entering here, that means the date which we enter here will be shown on this point. So the date which we enter here has the same, if it is the same weekday, if it is Saturday, means it has to be 1 day plus this date. Otherwise it is the same as the planned depart date. Enter any date here so that we can check whether formula is working when it is written. So I'm giving a date here. So whatever date we have entered, that will be shown here. If it's showing as this format, just change it to date format, format cells, date. So whatever date we enter, that will be shown here. So first we need to check whether this cell is empty for that particular port. If it is empty, we don't have to change anything. So this, now in order to get this data, we have to look up this value based on the port code. So whichever port code we have entered in the main file, we have to look up this value and check whether it is empty. So in order to look up that, we have to use the VLOOKUP formula this way. VLOOKUP, it's based on the port code. So lookup value is port code. The table array is this table array, and column index is 3 and 0. So this is the value in that column. So we have to check whether, so if this value is equal to space, so if it is empty or if it is space, means there is no change in the depart date. It is the same as the planned depart date, which is cell A9. So if it is empty, it is A9. Otherwise we have to check the weekday. The day of this date is not, if it's equal to the weekday in the other one, it should be 1 day later. Otherwise it will be the same. So for the time being, in the else case, I'm just entering 1. So you can see here for the code D, if you check the port file, it is closed on Saturday. So in the else case, now we have to check whether the date we entered is Saturday. For that, we'll be using a function called weekday. The function weekday of a date returns an integer number based on the day of that date. So here I have given weekday of A9. So it is returning 1 because this date is Sunday. You can see this date is Sunday. If it was 26, it will return 2 because it is Monday. So it will return 1, 2, 3, etc. and 7 for Saturday as an integer value. So we need to check whether the weekday of this date and the weekday of this day, that means for each day the number is shown here. So if it is Saturday, it will be 7. So the weekday of that value is equal to this matching value. Formula is little bit lengthy. Let's do that. So in the else case, I'm going to check whether if weekday of A9 equal to now the day is given by this VLOOKUP function, which we have already done in the first part. So this is the day. If it is equal to, we have to check whether this value matches with the value given in the table here. So we need to give equal to. If it is equal to, I'm using a match function to check whether this value is matching. So this is the day which we have looked up, match value, match, comma. Now I'll be checking in this one. This is the lookup column, comma 0. So if weekday of A9 equal to match of VLOOKUP, this is the day. This VLOOKUP function is the day. This is the lookup array for the match function. This is the range lookup, which is 0. So if weekday of this is equal to this one, that means if it's the same day, we have to set the depart date as planned date plus 1. So it is A9 plus 1. Otherwise, it will not change. So it will be A9. So this first we have checked whether it is empty. If it is empty, A9, that means the same date. Otherwise, we are checking the weekday with the day in the other file, whether the numbers are matching. If it's matching, we have to set the depart date as 1 day later, for that A9 plus 1. Otherwise, it will be the same day. So this if function complete is a part of else part of this if function. So let's close this if function. So now you can see it is showing this date. Let's change it to date format to check whether it's working. So here this date 26 is Monday. So the depart date will be the same day. Let's enter a date on which this port is closed. The port is closed on Saturday. So let's enter a date Saturday and see whether the formula is working. So Saturday, let's enter 24 here. So now you can see the depart date is increased by 1. This is how we do this formula. So the formula looks like this. This is the if formula. We checked whether the day is the cell which contains the day is empty. If it's empty, the same date. Otherwise, we checked whether the day is equal to the day number of the day in that file. And then if it is same, we have increased the date by 1 day. Otherwise, the same day. The user will enter a port code for the next port on ship's journey in cell C10. Enter functions in cell E10 to display the number of miles from the port shown in row 9 to the port shown in row 10. That means the user will be entering another code here, for example A, in cell. So now we have to find out the number of miles between these two ports. So the number of miles are given here. You can see the port numbers are given here, and the port numbers are given here also. So that means the distance from D to A will be the intersection of this row and this column. So this will be the distance. So this is an intersection of row and column. So we can use an index function here. So I'm going to use an index function. The formula must be entered in E10. So in E10 equals index the array we have to select. The array is these values. Row number is the row number of the first port code in the port file. So for that I will use again a match function, match the port code, comma, we have to check the position of that port code in this column, comma, 0. 0 is the range lookup to get the exact value. Now same way the column number will be the row column number of the value which we entered in cell E10, sorry C10. So C10, comma, so this row we have to select. This is the range lookup. We need to find out in which column the value in cell E10 C10 occurs in this row, comma, 0. So you can see the number of miles is shown here. So this is how we have done the formula. Index function, the array is the data in this file. This is the array. Then we have used, in order to find the row number, I have used match function for this value C9. And in order to find the column number, I have used the match function for the value in C10. So now we got 700 here. Next, enter a formula in cell F10 to calculate the number of whole days for the journey between these ports using the speed and the number of miles. Time is calculated by dividing the distance by the speed. The ship travels continuously for 24 hours each a day. So the speed is given in the ship file and the time taken we have already calculated here. So in cell F10 we have to find the time. So time will be the distance. The distance is this one divided by the speed. Speed is given in ship file and it is based on the ship code. So the speed should be looked up based on the ship code. So we will be entering a ship code here in this cell. So it will be based the lookup value will be this one. Let's enter a ship code to check whether formula is working. So in this cell, equal to distance divided by, so this is the distance divided by the speed. So the speed must be looked up. So I am using a VLOOKUP function. VLOOKUP, lookup value is this, comma, the lookup array is the ship file. The ship file and the speed is in the third column. So 3, 0 is the range lookup. So the distance divided by speed, and since the ship travels for 24 hours a day, the whole value has to be divided by 24. Divide by 24, and we need the whole hours. In the question they have asked you to calculate the whole days, so we need to use roundup. Roundup to 0 decimal place. So this is the formula. Distance divided by the speed. The speed is looked up from the other file. Next we have enter a formula in cell G10 to display the arrival date at the end of the journey. The arrival date at the end of the journey. So the arrival date is in G10. So this is the departing date. So it will be departing date plus the number of days taken to travel. So it will be equals this plus the number of days. Enter a formula in cell A10 to display the planned depart date, which is the arrival date in the port plus 2 days to unload and load the containers. In cell A10, it is the arrival date, so equals arrival date plus 2 days. So this is the formula, arrival date plus 2 days. Save the spreadsheet. Next, edit the formula entered in steps 2 to 8 so that blank cells rather than error messages are displayed if data is not present in the related cells. For example, if you don't enter any data here, this shows error messages. So in order to avoid that, we have to use if error formula. In all the formulas we have entered from step 2 to 9. So in step 2 we have entered this. So we have to just edit this formula as if error. If it shows any error, if error of this formula, if it shows any error, what should be displayed should be given after a comma. So it should be shown as a space there. Here also one more thing we have to do, because if I don't enter any value here, because the value we have entered in this cell is shown here. If I don't enter any value here, it is showing a value like this. So that also needs to be checked. So let's write there, if this equal to space, we have to show space. Otherwise this if error. So now you can see if I don't enter anything here, this will be shown as empty only. Now here we will change all the formula in this way. We have to add if error. So for this formula, add if error at the beginning and comma. If it's an error, what should be displayed should be shown after the comma. So a space. For that I will give a double inverted comma. So the formula is like this. If error, start the bracket, then the complete formula, comma, the space. For all formula we have to do the same thing. If error, if error for this, comma, now if I don't enter anything here, you can see this shows empty value. So here also we have to add that if error. If I don't enter anything here, all are shown as empty rather than errors which were shown before. Now let's add if error here also. If error. Yes, now all the formula are working fine. Save your spreadsheet as TS1A followed by your center number and candidate number. So file, save as TS1A. Save. If a ship is traveling to multiple ports, the user will enter further port codes into cell C11 to C24 as required. Apply appropriate replication as far as row 24 to the formulae and functions entered in steps 3 to 9. Steps 3 to 9. So we have to replicate this formula till 24. Now in this formula, when we are replicating, we know that the ship code is entered in this cell and it needs to be absolute. So this must be made absolute before replicating the formula. So make it absolute by adding the $sign. Now you can replicate it till row 24. So now all the formulae are replicated. Next, enter a formula in cell A3 to display the text ship's itinerary for followed by a space, then the name of the ship using the ship's code and the source file provided. If there is no ship selected, replace the name of the ship with no ship selected. That means if there is no ship selected, you have to replace the name of the ship with the text should be no ship selected. So if you don't enter any value here, it should show no ship selected. Otherwise, we should show the text itinerary for and the ship's name. So it has to be done in this one. So I will give equals if this is the cell in which we enter the ship's code. If this equals space, that means if it's empty, we have to display no ship selected. Otherwise, we have to display the text ship's itinerary for and space and the name of the ship. So the name of the ship has to be looked up from the ship file. So we have to use a VLOOKUP function based on the ship code. So I will use a VLOOKUP function. So we have to write otherwise ship's itinerary for, give a space, then let's use and to join the ship's name. the ship's name should be looked up. So we look up. The lookup value is in cell B5. The lookup array is the ship file. The ship name is in the second column. So comma 2 comma 0. Then close the if formula. So if the cell in which we enter the ship's code B5 is empty, we have to show no ship selected. Otherwise ship's itinerary 4, and we have to concatenate or join the name of the ship. Name of the ship is obtained by using a VLOOKUP function. So this is the formula. So when I have entered the code A, it shows ship's itinerary for Angela. If I don't enter anything, it shows no ship selected. So it is working. Display all the dates in DD, MM, YY format and save. We have already set it as date format. Now test the spreadsheet model with the following data. So let's remove all our test data from here. So we have removed all the test data. Now test the spreadsheet with the following data. Ship code must be H. So ship code must be H. Traveling from Dolombo to Negembe to Tavera. So the codes, these codes we have to enter. So the codes are D, N and T. So let's enter the port codes D, N and T. And start date is 2nd July 2022. So the start date is 2nd July 2022. So this is the required data. Save the new file as TS2 followed by your center number and candidate number. Save as TS2. Save. Next, test the spreadsheet model with the following data. Ship code is U. Traveling from Fingagua to Tavera, then to Sydney, and then back to Fingagua. So it is ship code is U. So let's remove all the data now. Ship code is U. So it is from Fingagua, that is Z, to Tavera, T, then Sydney, S, and then back to Fingagua. So we have to enter Z, T, S, and again Z. And the departure date is 30/7/2022. So this is the required data. Save the new file as ts3. This is the end of the task. Thank you for now.